and welcome to my first English class video as part of my Inclusive Learning initiative. Today we'll be working through the 2018 English Grammar, Punctuation and Spelling Key Stage 2 SATs test. Question 1. Insert a comma in the correct place in the sentence below. Although he was the youngest, Tom was one of the tallest. A comma is a punctuation mark which indicates a pause and breaks up parts of a sentence or can be used to separate items in a list. In this type of question, you should read the sentence and see where you naturally take a breath. This is usually a good indicator as to where you should add a comma. Therefore, reading through the sentence, although he was the youngest, Tom was one of the tallest, the comma naturally goes between youngest and Tom. Question 2. Which sentence must end with a question mark? What happened that day might never be known. What really happened that day? Someone must know what really happened that day. I'd like to know what happened that day. Generally, a question is a sentence, phrase, or a word that asks for information. In this section, there are 3 statements and 1 question. Read every sentence and see whether it can be answered. In doing so, you'll find that only the second option is capable of being answered. Therefore, it is a question and ends with a question mark. Question 3. The prefix re can be added to the root word play to make the word replay. Tick the meaning of the word replay. To play together, to play later, to play again, or to play badly. This question is testing your understanding on prefixes. Prefixes are a group of letters that change the meaning of a word when they are added to the start. If we look at the word replay, we can think about what it means. For instance, if you replay a video, then you play it again. If you replay a netball game, then you play it again. Therefore, the answer must be to play again. Question 4. Tick 1 box in each row to show whether the sentence is a question, a statement, or a command. A question is a sentence, phrase, or a word that asks for information. A statement describes facts, opinions, or ideas. A command tells someone to do something. Therefore, when we look at the first sentence, in autumn, many trees lose their leaves, we can see that this is a statement as it is providing us with information. The second sentence is telling the reader to do something. Look at the trees carefully. Therefore, this is a command. The third sentence tells us about how scientists are studying trees. Scientists are studying how trees can live for thousands of years. Therefore, this is a statement. The fourth sentence asks for information. How can you tell a tree's age? Therefore, this is a question. Question 5. Add 2 commas to the sentence below to make it clear that Anna has 4 favourite things. Anna's favourite things are camping, holidays, cycling, and swimming. A comma is a punctuation mark which indicates a pause and breaks up parts of a sentence or can be used to separate items in a list. We can see that this sentence contains a list. We begin by finding out where the list starts and place a comma after the first item. So here we can see that the list starts at camping, so we put a comma after camping and then after holidays, which is the second item. The question only asks for 2 commas in the sentence, although we would not put a comma after cycling anyway, as generally commas do not come before the word and. Question 6. Tick the adverb in the sentence below. The lively crowd cheered loudly when the rally car race began. An adverb modifies a verb and can often end in ly. For example, adverbs modifying verbs include she runs quickly. So, first we identify the verb, which is a doing word. The verb in this sentence is cheered. Now we look for an adverb which describes the verb cheered. In this case, the answer is loudly. So we tick loudly as the adverb in this sentence. Question 7. Insert a pair of commas in the correct place in the sentence below. A comma is a punctuation mark which indicates a pause and breaks up parts of a sentence or can be used to separate items in a list. Here we are looking for a relative clause which will be enclosed by the pair of commas. Relative clauses give additional information about a noun. The noun in this case is father. Therefore, the relative clause is who works at a museum. So, the commas go after father and museum. Question 8. Which sentence is grammatically correct? Tomorrow we went shopping at the sales. In 3 weeks' time I will be on holiday. Next weekend we had gone to the river to fish. Last summer we swim at the beach and collect seashells. Grammar is the study of the way words are used to make sentences. The first sentence says, tomorrow we went. Tomorrow is in the future tense and we went is in the past tense, so this is not grammatically correct. For the second sentence, the apostrophe after weeks means that it is plural possessive, so the time in the sentence belongs to the weeks. This also shows future tense, which is correct. The third sentence begins in the future tense by saying next weekend and then changes to the past tense by saying we had. This is grammatically incorrect. For the last sentence, it begins with last summer, which is in the past tense, and then moves to the present tense, we swim, which is also grammatically incorrect. Therefore, the correct answer is sentence 2. Question 9. Which verb is a synonym of the verb produce? Make, buy, sell, or trade. A synonym is a word that has the same meaning as another word. Therefore, we are looking for a word that means the same as produce. Looking at these options, the most suitable answer is make. Question 10. Which sentence is a command? You should bring a coat. You will need a coat in case it rains. I'm going to bring a coat, or bring a coat in case it rains. A command tells someone to do something. Looking at these options, we can see that the full sentence here is the answer, as it begins with the verb bring, which is telling the reader to do something. Draw a line to match each prefix to a word to make 4 different words. Use each prefix only once. Prefixes are a group of letters that change the meaning of a word when they are added to the start. I find the easiest way to tackle these questions is by starting with the root word. Therefore, we can see that correct matches with in to create incorrect. Mature links with im to create immature. Fortune links to miss, which creates misfortune. And able connects with n to create enable. Question 12. Which option completes the sentence in the past perfect? Soon after a Frenchman, the first land speed record was broken. Has set, had set, or was setting. The past perfect is a verb used to talk about actions that were completed before some point in the past. The past perfect formula is had with the past participle. Looking at these options, only the second option contains the word had, so this is the correct answer. Question 13. Which sentence is written in standard English? 2 sports teams come to our school yesterday. My friend was tidying the classroom. Today, the children done their school play. The teachers was going to send a letter next week. Standard English is referred to as the correct form of English, which follows standard English rules. The first sentence mixes tenses through the use of come and yesterday, which is incorrect. The second sentence appears to make sense. The third sentence is incorrect as it should be did and not done. And the fourth sentence also mixes tenses through the use of was going, which is in the past tense, and next week, which is in the future. Therefore, the answer to this question is sentence 2. Question 14. Tick the sentence that uses a dash correctly. Dashes are used to indicate a range of pauses. They are different to hyphens as they separate words and not part of a word. The best way to approach this question is to read each sentence and pause where the dash is. Dashes allow sentences to flow by breaking up points, so if it feels wrong when reading, it probably is. I find baking tricky. There are too many things to go wrong. I find baking tricky. There are too many things to go wrong. I find baking tricky. There are too many things to go wrong. I find baking tricky. There are too many things to go wrong. Therefore, we can see that the correct sentence is sentence 1. Question 15. What is the grammatical term for the underlined part of a sentence? Charlie spilt his juice, but it didn't go on his shirt. Is it an adverbial, a main clause, a noun phrase, or a subordinate clause? Here, it is important to know what each option means. A grammatical term is a group of related words. An adverbial tells us things such as where, when, and why. A main clause makes sense on its own. A noun phrase describes a noun, and a subordinate clause is dependent on a main clause to make sense. Knowing this, we can see that the answer to the question is that Charlie spilt his juice is a main clause as it makes sense on its own. Question 16. Which sentence must not end with an exclamation mark? What a hilarious film that was. I loved the opening scene. Was the ending funny? I have never laughed so much. Exclamation marks are usually used to express a strong emotion. Usually, questions like this indicate that if it does not end in an exclamation mark, then it may end in a question mark, so keep this in mind. Sentences 1, 2, and 4 can all end in an exclamation mark, although sentence 3 is asking a question, so it must end in a question mark. Therefore, the answer is sentence 3, as it cannot end in an exclamation mark. Question 17. Insert a colon in the correct place in the sentence below. There are 2 places that I've always wanted to visit, the Antarctic and Antarctica. A colon is a punctuation mark which can link two ideas together or introduce a quotation, exclamation, example, thought, or idea. For this question, it is good to see where the sentence splits when you read it by noting where you naturally take a breath. This is usually a good indicator as to where a colon will fit. Therefore, if we read the sentence, there are two places that I've always wanted to visit, the Antarctic and Antarctica. We can see that a colon fits well after visit and before the. Therefore, this is our answer. Question 18. Which sentence uses the underlined word as a noun? Dancers must be very fit and athletic. Can I help you with that, Jigsaw? We heard the thunder, but we did not see any lightning. The ocean is grey and angry looking today. Nouns are people, places, and things. In sentence 1, fit is an adjective as it describes the dancer. In sentence 2, help is a verb, which is a doing word. In sentence 3, thunder is a thing, so it's a noun. And in sentence 4, grey is an adjective as it describes the ocean. Therefore, our answer to this question is sentence 3. Question 19. Which sentence is punctuated correctly? Lately, the days have been growing noticeably longer and warmer. Lately, the days have been growing noticeably longer and warmer. Lately, the days have been growing noticeably longer and warmer. Lately, the days have been growing noticeably longer and warmer. Punctuation are marks and symbols that separate sentences to clarify meaning, such as full stops and commas. Looking at the sentences, it appears that we are going to be analysing the use of commas. Lately is a fronted adverbial which requires a comma after it. This excludes sentences 2 and 3. Although sentence 1 also contains a comma after and, which should not be used. Therefore, the correct answer is sentence 4. Question 20. Explain how the modal verb changes the meaning of the second sentence. Sentence 1. Yusuf and his sister go swimming with their dad. Sentence 2. Yusuf and his sister might go swimming with their dad. Modal verbs express necessity or possibility. For example, he might play basketball later, or you must put your shoes on. In the second sentence, might is a modal verb which shows possibility that the pair might not go swimming with their dad, compared to the first sentence, which appears to be certain. Here is a model answer. The modal verb might changes the meaning of the second sentence by expressing a possibility that Yusuf and his sister might not go swimming with their dad. In comparison, the first sentence appears to be certain. Question 21. Which word class is the underlined word in the sentence below? My brother thinks that football is an amazing game. Is it an adverb, an adjective, a determiner, or a conjunction? A word class is a group of words with a similar form or function. An adverb describes a verb, an adjective is a describing word, a determiner determines the state of a noun, for example, an apple compared to the apple. The most common types of determiners are a, an, and the. A conjunction joins two parts of a sentence together, such as and or but. Therefore, we can see that an is a determiner, so the correct answer is option 3. Question 22. Insert a subordinating conjunction to show that we ate lunch and listened to music at the same time. We listened to music. We ate our lunch. Subordinating conjunctions are words that are used to join a subordinate clause to another clause or part of a sentence. These include while, whilst, as, and when. Therefore, the most suitable option here would be while. It is worth noting that and wouldn't be appropriate, as and is a coordinating conjunction, not a subordinating conjunction. Question 23. Complete the sentence below with a noun formed from the verb invent. The engineer thought her latest would solve the problem. Nouns are people, places, and things. The best way to approach this question is by thinking when you invent something, then it becomes your invention. Therefore, the noun here is invention. Question 24. Replace the underlined words with the correct pronoun. Write one pronoun in each box. When Jack's grandmother came to stay, she gave Jack some money. Jack used his money to buy a game called Gables. Jack could not wait to get home and play the new game. A pronoun is a word that can replace a noun in the sentence to avoid repeating it over and over. Pronouns include I, she, he, we, and us. For the first sentence, we can use the pronoun him, as we have already used Jack's name in the sentence, so the reader will understand who we are referring to. Similarly, we know who Jack is, so we can use he in the second section. Finally, as we've spoke about Jack's game previously, we can refer to the game as it. Question 25. Which sentence is the most formal? Watching too much television should be avoided. You shouldn't watch too much TV. Watching lots of TV isn't a good idea. You really should try not to watch loads of telly. Formal language does not generally contain colloquialism, contractions, abbreviations, or incorrect grammar. In sentences 2 and 3, we can see the use of contractions. Contractions are shortened words which drop one or more letters and use an apostrophe to indicate the missing letters. Therefore, these two sentences can be eliminated. Also, in sentence 4, we can see the use of the word telly. This is colloquial language, which means it is slang or casual language. Therefore, it is not this answer either. This means that the answer is sentence 1. It is worth noting that the abbreviations in sentences 2 and 3 through the use of TV further indicate that these sentences are not formal. Question 26. Jane wants to know if the band is playing at the festival. Write the question she could ask to find out. Remember to punctuate your sentence correctly. A question is a sentence, phrase, or a word that asks for information. In this situation, you should pretend that you are Jane. Ask yourself what you would ask to see whether the band is playing at the festival. This could simply be, is the band playing at the festival? Since we are told to punctuate correctly, we need a capital letter at the start of the sentence and a question mark at the end. Question 27. Underline the subject of the sentence below. The tightrope walker carried a balancing pole. Subject is a person or a thing performing the action in a sentence. A good way to find a subject is by finding the verb and seeing who or what it relates to. In the sentence, we can find the verb carried. We can see that this is relating to the tightrope walker. Therefore, the subject of this sentence is the tightrope walker. Question 28. Write the name of punctuation that could be used instead of commas in the sentence below. Somehow, after much swaying and rocking, the tightrope walker managed to regain his balance. Punctuation are signs and symbols which show the reader how the sentence should be read. Types of punctuation include commas, full stops, exclamation marks, and question marks. First, we should read the sentence and find out where the commas are located. This part of the sentence is parenthesis, which encloses additional information. Therefore, to change this, we could use dashes or brackets. Question 29. Circle the most formal option in each box below to complete the invitation. We would like to invite you to a catch-up, celebration, or get-together. To mark this fab, really cool, momentous occasion. It will start up, commence, or kick off at 5 p.m. Formal language does not generally contain slang, also known as colloquial terms, contractions, abbreviations, acronyms, or initialism. For this question, pretend that you are writing an invitation to the Queen. This will help us to pick the most formal options. We are looking for words that we wouldn't usually use in informal, everyday conversations. As a tip, formal words can sometimes be the most complex words. So, the answers are celebration for the first box, momentous in the second box, and commence in the third box. Question 30. Tick one box in each row to show whether the underlined noun is singular or plural. This concerns the use of apostrophes, which can indicate whether a noun is singular or plural. Singular means one, and plural means more than one. A general rule for distinguishing between singular and plural apostrophes showing possession is that most of the time, if it is singular, it will come before the last S, and if it is plural, then it will come after. As the first sentence shows the apostrophe to come after the S, this indicates that it is plural. In the second sentence, the apostrophe comes before the S, indicating that it is singular. And in the final sentence, the apostrophe comes after the S, therefore indicating that it is also plural. Question 31. What is the word class of each underlined word? Joseph has beautiful handwriting. Joseph writes beautifully. Word classes are groups of words of similar form or function. For example, nouns, adjectives, verbs, determiners, conjunctions, prepositions, pronouns, and adverbs. As we can see, the word beautiful is underlined. This is describing Joseph's handwriting. Therefore, this is an adjective, which is a describing word. The second word is beautifully. This describes the verb writes. So, the answer here is adverb. This is also suggested because it has an ly ending. Question 32. Which sentence is the most formal? She suggested that her mother be present. She really hopes to be ready on time. Don't forget to lock the door. If Johnny's late, we'll start without him. Formal language does not usually contain colloquialism, contractions, abbreviations, or incorrect grammar. In the second sentence, we can see the use of the adverb really. This makes the sentence less formal, so can be eliminated. In sentences 3 and 4, there are contractions. These are don't, Johnny's, and will. Therefore, these can also be eliminated. Subsequently, the answer is sentence 1. She suggested that her mother be present. Question 33. Circle the 4 prepositions in the sentence below. On a mountain bike, you can cycle across ground, along muddy paths, and over harsh terrain. Prepositions are commonly used to show space, time, or a relationship between two things. Prepositions include on, in, near, towards, and up. Based on this, we can see that the first preposition is on. This is followed by across. Next is along. And finally, over. Each of these prepositions indicate a position within the sentence. Question 34. Insert 1 hyphen and 1 comma in the correct places in the sentence below. My grandmother is a ballroom dancing champion, poet, and singer. A comma is a punctuation mark which indicates a pause and breaks up parts of a sentence or can be used to separate items in a list. Hyphens typically join 2 words together to create a new word. Therefore, we can see that ballroom dancing requires a hyphen, and since there is a list, a comma is required between Question 35. Explain how the position of the apostrophe changes the meaning of the second sentence. Sentence 1. What are your brother's favourite toys? Sentence 2. What are your brother's favourite toys? A general rule for distinguishing between singular and plural apostrophes showing possession is that most of the time, if the apostrophe comes before the S, then the word is singular. If it comes after, then the word is plural. Therefore, we can see the first sentence is talking about one brother, as the apostrophe comes before the S. However, in the second sentence, the apostrophe comes after the S. This indicates that there is more than one brother. Here is a model answer. The first sentence suggests that there is only one brother, but the second sentence suggests that there are several brothers because it is plural. Question 36. Which 2 sentences use punctuation to show parenthesis? There are some books, including storybooks, in the cupboard. To make space, we move the chairs, tables, and the boxes of games. Our classroom, at the end of the corridor, has a red door. On Tuesday, we'll be selling cakes for charity. Parenthesis encloses additional information in brackets, dashes, or commas. In the first sentence, we can see additional information being enclosed in dashes. This states, including storybooks. Therefore, this sentence uses punctuation to show parenthesis. While the second sentence uses 2 commas, This is to connect the subordinate clause to the main clause and to create a list. Therefore, this does not show parenthesis. In the third sentence, we can see 2 commas used to enclose additional information stating at the end of the corridor. Therefore, this shows the second sentence using punctuation to show parenthesis. The fourth statement only uses 1 comma, so it does not show parenthesis. Therefore, the answer to this question is sentence 1 and sentence 3. Question 37. Underline the relative clause in each sentence. We visited the fun fair that came to our town. My uncle, who lives in Australia, sent me a present. My friend, whose rabbit I look after, is on holiday. Relative clauses start with a relative pronoun, which introduce dependent clauses in sentences. Relative pronouns include who, when, that, and which. For the first sentence, that is a relative pronoun, so that came to our town is the relative clause. For the second sentence, who is a relative pronoun, so the relative clause is who lives in Australia. For the third sentence, the relative pronoun is whose, so the relative clause is whose rabbit I look after. Question 38. Rewrite the underlined verbs in the simple past tense. During the winter months, the sun does not appear high in the sky, and the days are much shorter than the nights. Past tense refers to things that happened in the past. Therefore, the past tense of does is did, and the past tense of are is were. Question 39. What is the grammatical term for the underlined words in the sentence below? My prize was a fluffy green pencil case with a gold zip. Grammatical terms refer to a group of related words. We can see that the underlined words are describing the pencil case, which is a noun. Nouns are objects, people, or things. As there are a group of words describing the pencil case, which is a noun, this is a noun phrase. Question 40. Tick 1 box in each row to show whether the sentence is written in the active or the passive. The lost dog was found by the children. Everyone heard the thunder. Nicole was riding her bike. Active voice occurs where the subject does something, and passive voice occurs where something happened to the subject. Sometimes, passive sentences contain was, although not always. In the first sentence, the dog was found by the children. This shows something happening to the dog, and not the dog doing something. Therefore, it is passive. In the second sentence, everyone heard the thunder. This shows everyone doing something, which makes the sentence active. For the third question, the examiner is testing you by using was. However, we can see that Nicole was doing an action by riding her bike. Therefore, the sentence is active. Question 41. Rewrite the sentence as directed speech. Remember to punctuate your sentence correctly. I asked her if she needed any help. I asked. Direct speech is a sentence in which the exact words spoken are used in quotation marks. For example, do you like carrots? Imagine if you were asking the girl if she needed any help. what would you say? A suitable answer would be, do you need any help? Remember to use quotation marks and a question mark. Question 42. Circle the possessive pronoun in the sentence below. When Mum saw that I was wearing Oliver's gloves, she wanted to know where mine were. A possessive pronoun shows that something belongs to someone. For example, my, hers, its, theirs, yours, and ours. Therefore, in this sentence, we can see that the possessive pronoun is mine. Question 43. Rewrite the two sentences as one sentence using an appropriate coordinating conjunction. Remember to punctuate your answer correctly. We will have time to play a game. We will have to finish it before dinner. Coordinating conjunctions connect two phrases or sentences together. An acronym for coordinating conjunctions is fanboys. This stands for and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Looking at the fanboys acronym, we can use the coordinating conjunction but. Therefore, the answer is, we have time to play a game, comma, but we will have to finish it before dinner. Question 44. Underline the adverbial in the sentence below. On Wednesday, Felix has a dental appointment. An adverbial tells us a place, time, or a manner. In other words, it tells us where, when, or how something happens. To find adverbials, look for commas, as commas come after adverbials. Therefore, we can see that the adverbial in this sentence is on Wednesday. Question 45. Circle the relative pronoun in the sentence below. The boy who knocked on our door was at the wrong house. Relative pronouns relate to part of a sentence. They include who, when, where, whose, that, and which. Therefore, in the sentence, we can see that the answer is who. Question 46. Add a suffix to the words in the boxes to complete the sentences. Our school believes in for all pupils. We took clothing in case it turned cold. A suffix is a morpheme added to the end of a word to change its meaning. Therefore, for the first sentence, the answer would be equality. For the second sentence, the answer would be additional. Question 47. Circle each word that should begin with a capital letter in the sentence below. The island, called Zanzibar, is in the Indian Ocean, off the coast of Africa. Capital letters should be present when using the names of people, places, titles, organisations, or other related words, and at the beginning of a sentence. Therefore, we would need a capital letter at the beginning of the sentence, a capital letter for Zanzibar, as it is a proper noun since it is a place, a capital letter for Indian and Ocean, as that is a place, which is a proper noun, and finally a capital letter for Africa, as it is a proper noun since it is a place. Question 48. Circle the four verbs in the passage below. There were hundreds of gulls circling in the sky. They gathered near the dock, searching for scraps. A verb is an action or a doing word. There are three easily identifiable verbs in this passage. These are circling, gathered, and searching. However, there is one more difficult verb to spot. This is were. You should remember this as a verb. Question 49. Rewrite the underlined verb in the sentence below so it is in the present progressive. I taught my sister to skateboard. The present progressive can be split into two parts. The first part is the present. This means things taking place now. The second part is progressive. This means it is an am, were, or was sentence. The second part of the progressive usually ends in ing, such as riding, running, and skiing. As we are dealing with the present progressive, it will begin with am, then change taught from the past to the present progressive. This will become teaching. Therefore, the answer is am teaching. Question 50. Underline the subordinate clause in the sentence below. Hassan and I are going to our dance class. We are going to be late as we missed the bus. A subordinate clause is a part of a sentence that does not make sense on its own and is reliant on the main clause to make sense. We can see that the statements, Hassan and I are going to our dance class, and we are going to be late, both make sense on their own. However, as we missed the bus doesn't. Therefore, this is the subordinate clause. Thank you very much for watching this video on the 2018 English Grammar Punctuation and Spelling Key Stage 2 SATs test. More content will be uploaded to this channel in due course. Best wishes.